Right, so welcome to a new guide on this channel, and this occasion is the Retro 5 from Waves. This is not a review, it's a deep dive guide about this plugin. So if you look at the description or the timeline, you can jump to a section or skip the ones you don't want. Now, if you like this guide, please like and subscribe, and if you have the money and you want to buy me a coffee, you can. Check the links at the description. Right, so this is a nice little plugin, and the plan of this one is to make the sounds, or to give you the sounds of different eras. And you have like 4 different slots, to do it. You hit the device, you get the space, which is echo and reverb, then you can do noise, and then you have the mechanics. And you can just turn them off and just use the different parts. So if you think about this, it's like 4 plugins in one. First, we need to take a look at the device. Is the most important section of the whole plugin. So I've seen some videos around showcasing this plugin and going maybe through the different things that this can do, the different sounds, and completely forgetting about the mix control and the input and the output. So when this plugin, the mix and the input and output are the most important controls of all the plugin. And you're going to see why in a minute. So what the device will do pretty much is going to process whatever it is that you're, trying to process through different devices that you get right here. And what is using right here is impulse responses. And the impulse responses are, very just kind of a lo-fi type of impulse responses. Now, by default, this uses a low impulse response, an IR for the lows and a different IR for the highs. And then with the tone, you can make a blend between, the low and the highs. You're gonna hear it in a minute. Okay, so I'm gonna turn off all the devices. If I play a sound, what I'm using right now is gonna be a Lin drum, very vintage kind of a drum machine, and it's raw. There's no processing. So I'm gonna be playing this, and it sounds like a raw Lin drum. So yeah, pretty raw. So we're going to process through the device. So as soon as I turn the device on, I'm going to just turn it on and I'm going to play it back again. Notice that it goes low in volume, just goes lower. And I turn it off, you get a brighter sound and then a darker sound. So it's just pretty aggressive right from the start. This is why I'm telling you the input and the output and the mix are really important. So if it's going too low in volume, maybe you need to adjust the input. Or maybe you just need to adjust the output to match the levels. If I just turn it off, maybe we need a little bit more of output. Right from the start, it's just doing its job. So I'm going to go all the way up in the mix. And I'm doing this so we can hear what the device is doing. And right now it's standing on the 80s. This is a section that we cannot bypass. So the device again goes through an IR. And it's going to give you this particular sound. All the devices have different sounds. This is the first one. The second one is going to be a little bit different. The third one, again, a little bit different. You have a oomph right here at the bottom, the lows. And the last one is pretty much nothing, but it's just a little bit more hi-fi, let's say. We get a lot of highs, so it's just a little bit different. Now for this one, since we are kind of bypassing, the tone is just, we don't get it. But for the other ones, we do get it. So I'm going to be standing, maybe I'm going to be standing on this one. So remember, the tone is going to decide how much blend between the low impulse response and the high impulse response we get. So going to the low, we get the oomph of the lows. And going to the other one, it's a little bit, brighter, let's say. But it's changing the tone behind the scenes. Let me go to this one. So yeah, you're just kind of making a balance or selecting a balance between the low IR and the high IR. But this is how it sounds by default. And you cannot argue that it just maybe doesn't sound that good, right? This is why the mix is so important. I'm going to go down in the mix and just getting a nice blend between your dry signal and your process one. It's going to just really make a difference. And if I turn the unit off, this is how it sounds by default. On. It's completely different, right? And it's nice, giving me this lo-fi type of, vibe. Okay. So then, this is the device. Now then you have the different eras. And all of this is again is an emulation of getting you a more lo-fi process. And I'm gonna go all the way up and I'm gonna stand on the last device, which is the cleaner one, which is pretty much you're not doing anything. Now, the 80s is gonna be a more, more highs, more detailed type of sound. If I go to other ones, that is a change in tone. 60s, very lo-fi. And 50s, it's gonna be even more. Right. So you can bypass the device, but you cannot bypass the decades. So if you wanted to just use the decades, you can, right? Maybe this one is cool. I'm gonna turn it off. But, I kind of like this one, but again, remember that you need to use the mix. Most important knob in the whole device section. And then you just adjust your sound to find the right match. Right. So pretty handy. Now, the next thing that you get, and I'm going to go to the device and I'm going to go stand on the 80s because this is the more hi-fi version, of this, on the device. So we need to talk about the squash. Now, this is a downwards, if you go negatively to the side, or if you go to the other side, it's going to be more like an expansion. Now, all of this is just very reactive to whatever sound that you're processing. So I'm going to be doing some playing. I'm going to be going down to the squash. And I'm going to go, up on the mix so we can really hear it. And if I go up, notice that the sound is just completely different. Right. So maybe the combination of this, a little bit of device again, standing on the tone and doing a little bit of mix, just gonna give you what you want. Raw, not raw. Right. Now, the ringer is a ring, it's a ring modulator. Now, this is, what it's giving you, it's a little bit of a, kind of a clipping. That's what it says. But it's almost like a tone. Now, it's a very specific sound. Maybe it works better with synths. If I play it right here, I'm going to go all the way up in the mix. No device, no squash. And I'm going to go up in the ringer. What is that? Yeah. It's going to give you that if you go to extremes. If I go all the way up, we get a tone right there. Now this maybe will sound a little bit better if we use it with synths, but you get that tone. If you wanted to, you get it. Now the whole idea of all of this is just, to retrofy it. Now, in conclusion, when you use the device to get the most out of the plugin, remember, you know all the parts, but you need to do the right amount of mix, input, and output, right? So I'm going to be going to a full reset and I'm going to turn off everything. Everything's off. The only thing I'm going to be using is just the device. But this time I'm going to be using a synthesizer. If I turn off the plugin, it sounds like that. It goes, lower. So let's just, adjust all of this. I'm going to go up in the output, just trying to match a little bit of the original sound. Almost there. Okay. So I'm going to be using the device. Okay, so maybe I'm going to go to this one. A little bit up on the tone. Maybe. Why not? I like this one a little bit better. I'm going to go up in the tones. And why not going to 80s? I'm going to stand on the 50s. I'm going to squash it just a little bit. That is how different now it is. The ringer, again, it's just a little bit more useful on synths, maybe on percussion, it's not that fun. But here, synths, it sounds really cool. Again, the mix, most important control. I'm gonna make the right blend, too bright, more lo-fi. Now, if I turn it off and on again, maybe a little bit less. Right? So it's just giving you what you want, which is a little bit lo-fi to your sound. Right? Now, then you have all the other, slots or, groups that we get just to make it, a little bit better. Now, the start of the show, the star of this plugin is the device and the noise. And this is just my opinion. Then you get a space and echo section, which is a reverb and an echo. And it's just a very simple implementation of a reverb and an echo. Right, so I'm going to be just turning off the device and just going to make it go through the space and the echo. As soon as I turn it on, it just gives you that. If I do device at the same time and turn the plugin off and on, it just gives you that. Gives you what you need. Now, again, the reverb, and for now, you can just turn the reverb and turn the echo off and on from here. So I'm going to be standing on just the reverb. Now, the reverb, by default, it's going to be a spring reverb or a plate reverb. The length is going to be the decay of your reverb, and the level is the volume. Now you have a mix control, but the mix is for the whole space section. So it's a mix for the echo and the reverb at the same time. So how this works is that you have levels. So if you want to, for example, you have both on and you want to do a nice blend, you can go all the way down in the echo level and just get the reverb. So you need to adjust the level to get it right. If I go to more mix, so we can hear what it's doing, this is the plate. You can shorten the length, but it's still, kind of long. It's a plate reverb. If I go long, it's going to be long. Now, the spring reverb is a completely different beast. It has its own sound. And if you're a guitar player, you love spring reverb just like I do, because I'm a guitar player. It has, again, its own unique sound. So you can go down in the level of this, and then you have the echo section. So you can have this on, but now just gonna go to the echo. Now the echo is just pretty simple. You have a time control, you have a level of how much echo you want, and by default it's gonna be a simple echo. You can adjust your feedback, which is how many, repetitions. Going all the way up, it's going to give you that. Now, it sounds like a vintage type of echo, so it's going to give you that right away, and you can use it on ping pong. Right. So it's a pretty simple, echo and reverb. Now, the time, again, it's just going to be the time. By default, it's going to be tied to your BPM. Now, this is a little bit special, and this is the first time I've seen this on the plugin. Maybe it's just because I was not paying attention, but when you go to the BPM on this one means that you're using divisions, but it's going to be tied to the BPM that you have right here. So if I play this, the BPM is going to be, the division is going to be based on the 120, but on this session, I'm using 110 as BPM, not 120. So this is what BPM means. It's going to tie this, use divisions, but on this number. If I go up on this one, it's 116 triplets, or, whatever, based on this tempo, and not your DAW tempo. So if you want to tie it to your DAW, that is going to be host, and now it's 110. And then MS, it's not mid-side. It's going to be time. You can go in milliseconds. That's why it's milliseconds. Now, it should be, lowercase, because MS, it's more mid-side, but, But again, it's a pretty simple echo. You get your echo, your level, you can do ping pong, and your feedback. Nothing super special. And this is what I'm telling you is a pretty simple implementation of a reverb and an echo. This is not the star of the show. The star is the device and the noise that we're going to use in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to go to a full reset, and I'm going to turn off the device, and we need to talk about this section. And again, my opinion is the device and noise are just great. So the noise is just not noise. It's a lot of different noises. If I go right here, you get cassette, digital, electric, effects, mechanics, synths, noises, and vinyl noises. So, you get a lot of noises. Now, the way that this works is that you can have it constant, or maybe gate it or use it on duck mode, which is going to be, ducking the noise and bring the noise back when you stop playing. So, okay, so first I'm going to show you while standing on duck. Now, if I go all the way down to the threshold, I play a key, and it's just not going to listen to anything. It's just going to be a constant noise. So you can use this as a, constant noise. If you are using your space section, you can go pre or you can go post. This is, again, completely up to you. I'm going to go up in volume for now. No, I'm going to go all the way up. So, again, right now, it's standing on duck, but it's listening through a threshold to do the ducking. If this is super low, it doesn't matter. I play anything, it's just not gonna react to it. So you can use it as a again, constant noise, which is great. And you get a lot of different noises. Digital, electrical, effects, mechanics, and then, the good old vinyl. And you have, synth sounds. Different ones. And again, it's just really cool. Now, what happens if I want to... I'm going to use this one because it's pretty noisy. What happens if I want to use the duck? So, as soon as I go up in threshold, when the sounds exceeds the threshold, it's just going to... There you go. It's going to duck the noise when I play a sound. So, if I play it, the noise goes down. It's going to let pass the sound, my sound. And when I release the keys, it's going to bring the noise up. Alright, so that's what the duck means. It's just a pretty common control. Then you get the gate, and the gate is just going to be the opposite. Maybe, if I go over the threshold, it's not reacting, we get almost no noise. But as soon as I go here, when I play a key, it's going to play the noise. And when I release the key, it's going to go full silence because you're using the gate. It works like a gate. It's going to open when we are playing, and when I release it, it's just going to go silent. So just by using this, you can control a little bit better what happens when you do this processing. Now, the level again is just, you can handle the level independently. So if it's too noisy, you can just go down in level. It's just, just like using the mix. But in my opinion, again, the usage of the device and the noise is just, pretty cool. And if I'm just, again, going to play that clip that we were using before, I'm going to turn it off. Just gives you, something a little bit different. That's the noise. And if you wanted to, you could use the space and bring a little bit of echo, a little bit of lo-fi, maybe a ringer, why not? Or maybe you can squash it. If I turn it off, super raw, more processed. Right, so I'm standing on a full reset again, and I'm going to turn off the device. Everything is off, and I'm using that same synthesizer I was using before. And now we need to talk about the mechanics. So the plan of the mechanics is to add inconsistencies like you would get with a tape machine. So whoa is going to be pitch inconsistencies. Now they are not constant, and they are a little bit unpredictable. Now wobble is a bit more predictable. This changes in amplitude, and this is kind of a sort of a tremolo, let's say. And the speed, is how fast this will go. Now, you get 2, and you will see why in a second. For now, I'm just going to go down on all of them so we can hear that effect. I'm going to go all the way down. And notice that the mechanics section is something that you can just turn it on and off. So if I play a key, it's just going to sound like that. Pretty simple. I'm going to make sure that everything is off because even if you're doing just a little bit, it's going to affect it. Okay, so we want to do some wall. As soon as I go up, maybe I'm going to do some speed. Notice that the sound goes darker, and you can see it right here on the spectrum. As soon as I go up, it goes dark. Now, as soon as I go up on the whoa, notice that we get pitch inconsistencies. We can see it right here moving. If I go up in speed, it's going to be more, noticeable. Go all the way up. We are in full effect. But notice that it's a little bit inconsistent. It's not super constant. So this is what the wall will do. We'll give you a little bit of pitch inconsistencies. Now I'm going to go all the way down on the wall. If I play it again, I want to do a little bit of wobble. And again, this is just like a tremolo. It's going to go up and down. So maybe a little bit of wobble, a little bit of pitch detune, a little bit of noise and device and space. It's just going to give you... it's just going to give you that lo-fi, vibe. So maybe a device, a little bit squash, a little bit of tone. I'm just going, just doing things randomly. And I'm going to be playing something. If I turn it off, the original sound is much louder. And again, I need to tell you back again that the input and the output is really important for this plugin. If I just turn it off and I play it again, right? Really, really different. Now, why do you get 2 rows of wobble and speed? It's pretty simple. They're not related. You could use just one, but since this works with speeds, you could just use a little bit of more wobbling if you wanted to, and whoa again, but make it different speeds. So maybe this one is going to go faster, and this one is going to go a lot slower. And again, inconsistencies. That's why it's called Retro-Fi. Now, on top of that, you have a high-pass filter that if you want to, just chop the lows, it's going to let you do it. If you want to chop the highs, it's going to let you do it. Just a low pass. And, right here, you get the mono. As you go up, it's just going to mono-fi pretty much everything. Right. So again, it's just a pretty simple plugin. But it just gives you that, Retro-Fi vibe. Now, the most important parts is that you can just enable and disable the different parts and maybe just, just use the mechanics just to give you that wobbling inconsistencies. And then you can go maybe through a saturator or maybe use it through your favorite reverb. You just don't need to use this part. If you want to use just noise, you have just a noise generator right here, right? So you just can use the different parts. And this is something super cool. On some plugins, they just don't let you do this. They just give you a lo-fi plugin and you turn it on and it's just, all the parts at once and you just cannot disable this. But in this case, we can, and that's something really important. So if you liked all of this and maybe you learned something new, remember to like and subscribe, please. And if you have the money and you want to buy me a coffee, you can go to the links on the description and you have buttons for PayPal. You have a link for PayPal. You have YouTube thanks and you have Patreon. Maybe you can be a 1-month patron and just buy me a coffee that way. All right, so see you on the next one.